I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside. It's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off-road. The guy managed the group. He was like, what are you doing in this beautiful car? I'm like, I'm going off-road. He's like, are you sure? Because you can use one of ours. And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability, as well as its robust interior, are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out. Visit iShares.com for more information.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show on the Choose Yourself Network. Today on the James Altucher Show.
I'm like the Dennis Rodman of ping pong, right? So I figured out in this sport that I can't beat these top players. So I have to find another thing within the sport. So I became the entertainer of the sport.
I think this is an important lesson for anybody interested in anything, is to look at all the possibilities. There's not just one goal or else you're unhappy. You've represented the U.S. in North Korea.
Yeah. You can. I have a lot of footage from North Korea. Every time I made a point, people started clapping like crazy. Then I thought I'm going to make this more fun. I'm going to see where I can take this because I'm not going to win this match. So then I said, okay, I'm going to try to engage the crowd. I look up at the crowd and I just start smiling. It was like a chain reaction. I started smiling, they started laughing. I wanted to try to get the real expression because that you can't fake. There's nothing in the manual that says if that black guy smiles, you have to laugh, right? That's something that's genuine. So that's what I wanted to get. Then after the match, you have to shake hands, right? We're walking towards each other. You can tell this guy is scared or nervous, and he barely touches my hand. So I grabbed him, pulled him in, and gave him a huge hug. And I held him. And then he goes into a smile. And that was the other expression I wanted to get, right? He's smiling. That you can't make up.
What was the crowd doing?
The crowd was cheering. They were cheering because both governments hate each other. And here, me and this North Korean guy were bonding over ping pong.
If you're hiring, pay attention. Finding great talent can be tough. Thanks to ZipRecruiter, it's now much easier. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites with just one click. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/James. That's ZipRecruiter.com/James. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/James. If you could take a vacation anywhere in the world, where would you go? Princess Cruises sails to over 360 destinations worldwide, and there's never been a better time to plan a vacation with Princess Cruises than during their most popular sail of the year, and it's called Sip and Sail. Book a balcony or above
and get the best all-inclusive beverage package at sea for free. Just visit princess.com/James for details. That's princess.com/James.
All right, I'm here with Wally Green. Wally, how's it going?
I'm good.
Wally, I've been taking ping pong lessons from you and figuring out your story all along the way. You're one of the best players of ping pong in the U.S. You've represented the U.S. in North Korea. And how many countries have you represented the U.S. in?
All of them.
All of them, so like 190 countries.
Almost all of them, almost all.
And you're a co-founder of the ping pong club Spin, and you're also the creator of the documentary The Tables, which is like getting awards all over the place and touring all around. You just came back from the Palm Springs Film Festival. What's the next film festival you're going to be in?
It's called Walla Walla, almost like my name.
It's in
Washington State.
Okay, and you know, as we've been playing, you've been giving me lessons, and two things occurred to me. One is I've been playing ping pong for 40 years. Like I had a table when I was 9 years old in my basement, and I realized 40 years later playing ping pong with you that 100% of the things I've been doing for all of these decades is wrong. 100% of them. Everything you've taught me is completely different than how I've been playing for decades. The other thing is you have a pretty intense story. Like when you were 13, you weren't playing ping pong. What were you up to at the age of 13?
When I was 13, I was in a gang. So I owned 6 guns at 13.
You owned 6 guns?
Yeah.
What kind of guns?
I had 2 380s. I had a very old school pistol that we actually found this like in our hood and stuff, and a few more stuff. We had a sort of shotgun. What else? And that was pretty much it. We had a couple other stuff.
So a 380, what's that? What is that?
380s is a kind of small, it's a very small kind of pistol.
Uh-huh.
You know, it can be as a semi-automatic, but it's pretty small.
What does semi-automatic mean? Like you don't have to...
Well, you can kind of like, you don't have to like click like this. You can kind of hold, yeah.
And it'll just keep firing?
Yeah.
And do you ever have a chance to use any of the guns?
We had a lot of, you know, fights and got into a lot of stuff, but you never really stay around to find out if you hit somebody or stuff like that. Like people don't, I mean, you shouldn't stay around.
Now, were you being shot at also?
I've gotten hit twice, actually.
Where
but
you
I'm
hit?
very lucky in my calf and across my knee in 2 separate occasions. I've had guns, you know, pulled out on me numerous occasions. But yeah, I mean,
What was happening? Like, were you when you say a gang? Like, was it selling? Were you selling drugs? What were you
no,
doing?
actually, I never got into selling drugs. I grew up in Marble Projects, and there were like 3 different gangs. I mean, some people were selling drugs, but it was more of a protection thing. So if you didn't join one, I mean, you had to join something, right? Because if you didn't join something, you got beat up by all 3. So you picked one, and you know, and everybody just fought against everybody. Sometimes it's just meaningless nonsense. Why you looking at me? I mean, the one time I almost got shot, it was just based off, yo, why you looking at me, or why you grilling me? So it's kind of always kind of stupid stuff like that.
And how did you get out of that?
Oh man,
Like how many people? I mean, it's kind of the classic story. It's almost a cliche, but how many people did you grow up with that are no longer here?
all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, so I don't have any friends from when I was younger. Yeah, all my friends are new friends, mostly coming from ping pong.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much all of them. And then and music. Like most of my friends are from ping pong and music.
So how did you get out of that lifestyle?
When I was about 19 years old, I got interested in ping pong because I went to this pool hall. And this is funny because I had just stolen a really expensive pool stick. I didn't really steal it. Well, sort of kind of stole it. I bought a pool stick.
We're not calling the police, so it's okay.
Yeah. I bought a pool stick that was at a cheaper price. And then I wanted to take it back. And when I went to take it back, I saw a pool stick in a bin. And the guy said I could change it for any one of the pool sticks that was in there. Apparently, someone picked up a really expensive one and put it in that bin. I don't know why, but I saw it and I saw the price tag. So I took the tag off of it and I said, hey, I want this one. And the guy was like, all right. So anyway, I had this pool stick. I thought I was good. I went to a pool hall. I started to try to, make a little money to try to hustle. And I got hustled. Got angry, broke the pool stick, and then there was some Asian dudes playing ping pong on the ping pong tables in the pool hall. And then I was so angry, and I was like, "Yo, I want to hit the ball." And they were like, "Can you play?" I was like, "Not really." So they gave me the racket, and the first shot hit on the table because I used to play also tennis. I played a lot of sports. And they was like, "Oh my God, you can play." I was like, "No, it was just one hit." And it was like, "Well, there's a ping pong club on 50th Street and 11th Avenue. And if you interested, you can go check it out." So I went there, I checked out this ping pong club, and, I would go there and nobody would play with me because I sucked. And this guy came along, and he was like, "Hey, do you have a partner?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "You know what? I can pay you $20, every time we play. I can pay you $20 if you become my, partner all the time." And I was like, "All right, but I can't really play. I can hit the ball on the table." He was like, "That's all I need." All right, cool. So I used to hang out with this guy and just play. We'd meet him and he'd pay me $20. And it was a hustle because I didn't have any money at the time. So, we just play, whatever. And then we would talk about my life a little bit. And I was always honest. Like I never hid stuff. I was always straightforward. He was like, "So what do you do?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm in a gang." I'll talk about my family. And I'm like, my gang's a family, blah, blah, blah. And for him, it was like a movie or a TV show. So like, if you never lived that life or you never understand that life, nobody can understand how a kid has 6 guns at 13, right? But if you go live in the hood and you stay there for some time, then you'll understand how it's not that difficult. So for him, it was like a TV show. Then one day I went to the club and I had bent down to pick up something and a gun fell out of my bag in front of him. And his eyes were so funny. Like, I don't know if he got scared or worried, but he just looked and he was like, and normally when that happens, people will run away from you, right? They'll say, "Oh, this kid's crazy. I'm out of here." But nah, he just became closer to me and he'd try to like he never told, one thing that was cool about him, he never told me, "Don't do this, don't do that." He was like, "You should be careful, it's not safe," stuff like that. And then he saw that I was like really interested in the ping pong thing. So he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to pay for you to go to Germany to go learn ping pong." So that was the first time I left the country.
How did he know where to send you in Germany?
Well, apparently this guy, he had a connection in Germany. Like he's from Israel, but he's been playing ping pong for a long time. So obviously this guy could play, or he played at one time when he was a kid. So he had this connection in Germany, in Hanover. And it's a school like where all the kid athletes, like they go and they live there. So he called, he arranged everything, sent me to Germany, paid the trip, paid where I stay.
Wow.
I had money for food. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
And how long were you in Germany?
I went there originally first for 3 months, but prior to that, I had went to a ping pong tournament in America, and it was the U.S. Open, and I wasn't playing at the time. I just went to go check it out, and I met some people from Germany. It's actually some famous players, even till today, they're really famous. And I met them there because I was always, I was interested. So I was talking to everybody. Anybody who was somebody, I was like, "Yo, you're a team."
So you were feeling the passion for ping pong.
Yeah. I was interested. So I started talking to all the pros. And they were like, "If you ever come to Germany, you should call us up and let us know." So I did that. I was like, "Yo, I'm in Germany." And then one of my friends' name is Thomas Keineth. He used to play for German national team. He was like, "Oh, man, you have to come to a place called Hergenshausen. It's on top of Koblenz." So I was like, all right. So I went there, and I just lived there for like another 2 months. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting.
So by the time you got back, were you like pretty good?
Yeah, because that's all I did. I didn't do anything else. I just played ping pong every day.
All day.
And then when I was in the town where my friend was, that was very high level ping pong. Like I was the worst by far. Mm-hmm. Like everybody was, because this was like the Bundesliga. So if you know anything about Bundesliga, like soccer or football, they call Bundesliga. Bundesliga is the highest league. So I practiced with the highest league and the winners of Champions League. So Champions League is all the country's top leagues play a competition to see who's the best in the world. Yeah. So I practice with this team. Yeah.
I mean, there's a saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with. And so you were spending time with all the best players in the world. So if you had just been playing like with friends or whatever in the park, then you wouldn't have gotten good. But here you are, you put yourself in an environment, whether it's through luck because of this guy or, through skill because he saw your interest and your beginning skill, you put yourself in an environment where everybody was like great, and that kind of probably really propelled you quickly to greatness.
Right.
So when did you start playing in tournaments?
Oh, so it was weird. So like normally you go from this junior stage. So I never had that junior stage. So I went to Germany, learned table tennis, thought I was good enough. The next year I played my first pro tour in Germany. I played in Germany. And I got destroyed badly. It was.
Did that depress you?
No, because I didn't have a realization for the sport yet and how difficult it was. So I was really nervous. So for me, the reason why I lost wasn't because the guy was better, although the guy was way better. It was because I was super nervous, and so because I had that in my head, I didn't get like depressed about it. I just wanted to. All I gotta do is not be nervous, and I can win.
And how did you eventually overcome that nervousness?
I had to set goals for myself. So I think like in any sport or with any competitors, you have to have goals that make sense, right? If you're like for me, I was new in the pro level of the sport. I was saying, oh, I want to beat this guy. I want to win this match. And that was the wrong approach, right? Because when you say that, that means that you don't respect the sport, you don't respect the player. How are you going to beat the guy who started at 3 years old when you started at 19, right? It's highly unlikely. So it wasn't until I started setting goals. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to say I want to beat this player. I'm going to say, the game is 11 points. I want to get 5 points every game. Even if I lose 4-0, if I get 5 points every game, then that's a win for me, right? Because this guy started at 3, I started at 19. It's a different level. So I started that way. Then after that, I would say, all right, once I was able to get 5 points in every game, then I would say, okay, I just need to take one game. If I take one game out of 4 games, then for me, I win. So it's a mental thing. So I set my brain to be the winner with goals that I set. If I was able to complete a goal that I made, then in my mind, I won the match, even though I didn't win the match. And that's how I did it. So it went from making 5 points every game to taking one game, then to trying to take more than one game. So I never ever thought about, I want to try to win the match. And if I did win the match, then I was good. But if I didn't, at least I conquered my goal and I was happy from that.
So the first time you won a match at like this pro level, were you like jumping on top of the table? Like, how did it feel?
Well, actually, in the international pro level, I've never won a match. I've came so close. And then there's another mental thing too. So when you're winning, the first thing you do is, like you said, I can win this match. You lost the match. Once you say that, you've already lost. You can't, because what happens is, when you mentally say, I can win this match, then mentally you think that at this point in this time, you're better. But you're not better. The guy is better than you by far. So instead of saying you can win this match, you have to say, I need to win this point, right? So now you focus on 1 point and not the whole match. So I've lost a few matches like that, like few matches just by saying, yeah, because, you get happy, right? You're always losing. So finally you can beat this guy and you get happy. I'm going to win this match. But no, you can't win the match because you have to win the point first.
So 2 lessons from that is like you can't celebrate before you really finish the work.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing is kind of focusing on the moment, because any sport is about how you're performing right then at that point. It's not about kind of the whole strategic match or whatever. You got to focus on like being your best so you can keep winning that point.
Right. I mean, I give it a perfect example of that in 2002. So the first tournament was Germany. Next tournament was in Rotterdam, right? And I I played this guy from England, killed me, no chance, lost. Then I played another guy from Russia, killed me, no chance, lost, right? Then I had to play a guy from China, right? Chinese national team. China is the best by far in the world, and for years they've always been the best. But so I played this guy from China. I still remember his name till today because I'll never forget his name, Chen Junji. So I played this guy, and first game he kills me. Second game kills me, and so my German friend was coaching me, right? And my German friend, you know, he learned a lot of kind of like ghetto from me. Because I teach him all this ghetto talk, whatever. So he was like, come on, Wally, come on. You have to fight. You must fight. He said, you must fight. Come on, boom, boom, boom. He's doing this, right? So then, okay, so I go back, right? And I serve a long ball to this Chinese guy, and he misses the ball, right? And
How could he miss it?
Oh, it was ace. It was fast. It was ace. Like he didn't even touch it. It was gone. And then when I did that, you know, I saw I won a point from the Chinese team, and I went, yeah, so loud. Like I yelled so loud where everybody was like, what the hell? So this made this guy nervous, right? Because he's never seen anybody like me play ping pong. And at that, I'm yelling to the top of my lungs every time I make a point. So to make a long story short, there was a point, the score was 3-2, right? So I took 2 games off a Chinese national team guy. I've only been playing a year pro, right? Not because I was better, because I was mentally in his head. So that's another thing about ping pong. It's 90% mental. So I'm in this guy's head, and it's 3-2, what is it? 3-2, 9-6 for me. 3-2, 9-6 for an American guy against Chinese. It's crazy. And so the Chinese coach was so angry. So the Chinese coach called timeout. If you get a Chinese coach to call timeout, that's like, you've won right there. I mean, that's insane.
That guy, your opponent must have been scared because
he was scared to death.
What would be the punishment if he?
If he lost to me,
yeah,
it's a wrap. It's finished for him. He lost to some black dude from America who'd been playing table tennis 1 year. Like, no, it's done. So my German friend speaks Chinese, and the Chinese coach was yelling at him. Are you crazy? I've never seen this guy from anywhere. If you lose to this guy, you will never play this sport in this country ever again. You're done. And so what I did wrong was, as I said before, I said in my mind, oh man, I can win this match. Let me calm down. And then I lost. I lost straight points.
Oh, no.
And not because he was better than me. I mean, he was much better than me, but because in my brain, I thought I could really win against a player that was so high. And instead of continuing what I was doing, I tried to calm down so that I could focus on winning.
When you're playing a game like that or at a high level, how much do you think is psychological as opposed to skill-based?
90% psychological.
Wow.
It's so, I mean, I've seen...
Do you think that's true for everything?
Pretty much. I mean, if you can get in someone's head, doesn't matter how good they are. I mean, and you can tell, like, it's happened in football where players have gotten other players' head, made them angry, and gotten them kicked out of the match. That's all planned. It's all psychological. Yeah.
So, like, you told me once... You've played a lot of different sports, like basketball. I think you said wrestling. I'm not sure. Tennis, ping pong. You mentioned a bunch of other sports, and you said ping pong is the hardest.
Yeah, by far.
And I've told that quote to a couple people, and nobody believes it because, for instance, why would ping pong be harder than tennis?
You see, when they don't believe you, tell them to come play me a match, and I'll use my cell phone.
Right.
And when I beat them with my cell phone, they'll understand.
Oh, you'll use your cell phone as the racket.
Yes, exactly. And then when I beat them with this, see, that's why I started playing with my cell phone a lot. I actually started playing. I used to do stuff with the Tennis Channel Open. So I used to go there to Las Vegas and do some ping pong exhibitions. And that's why I started playing with a cell phone. Because someone didn't show up, and I needed to do something, so I came up playing with the cell phone. And all these tennis players came, and they thought they were bad. And I would beat them with my cell phone. Now, if someone can beat you with their cell phone, then that sport's got to be really difficult if you thought you were really that good, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, for me, it's the most difficult sport because it's so complicated. Nobody understands what goes on. Nobody has no idea. In tennis, if I've never played tennis and I look at it, I understand what's going on. The guy throws the ball up, the guy serves it, they play rally, rally, rally. You can see what's going on. But in ping pong, you have no idea. You have no clue. I can make a serve. In the middle of serving, I can change the spin and you won't even know what's going on. So most people, the reason why people don't think it's difficult is because they don't understand what's going on. All they see is a ball going back and forth. That's all they see. But they don't know when, like, for example, yesterday I was playing at my club spin. And I wish I could show you this. It's the funniest shot ever. So I'm playing against this guy with my mini paddle, right? And he's good. He's a tournament player with my mini paddle. And
so the mini paddle, just to be clear, is like something like 1/4 the size of a regular paddle.
Yeah, 1/5 of a regular paddle. And so he plays the ball on the table. It goes short. And I'm watching his body. And what I do is I put my racket under the table. I move it a certain direction, right? And then I change the direction and throw it up. So now the ball is spinning, right? But you don't know where the ball is spinning. He just sees it coming this way. He moves this way. The ball hits, goes the opposite direction. He's like over there. So like most people, like you don't have any idea of what's going on in the sport. And that's why it's a difficult sport for TV. Because people can't understand what's happening. Like nobody knows what's
so much is like hidden. Like even when you serve, like you're hiding behind your body there while you.
Well, actually, you don't hide the serve. I mean, you can serve, but there's so much things going on with your wrist. You know, there's so many different ways to serve. There's, tennis has pretty much 3 serves. Pretty much. I mean, you have your flat serve, you have your side spin this way, and if you're right-handed, you have a side spin that way. So there's only 3 spins you can produce on a serve, right? Top spin, side spin, top spin left, side spin, top spin right. And that's it. Then you're done for tennis. In table tennis, right, you have underspin, you have bottom spin. I mean, you have underspin, you have top spin, you have side spin, underspin, side spin, left underspin, right, side spin, right underspin. The same with top spin. Then you have multiple ways to serve the same service. I can serve underspin about 4 different ways. The same underspin serve, I can do 4 different motions and serve the same serve. So I might serve underspin to you like in one way, and then I'll serve the same underspin to you in another way, and you'll think it's another serve.
And the key is for your opponent, they have to know what you're doing to respond, or else, like if you're hitting something, and this gets complicated, I guess, but if you're hitting like an underspin and I think you did a normal topspin serve, it'll go once I hit it, it'll go straight down into the net.
Exactly. So you have to actually know.
So there's like microseconds to plan.
Right. And you have to see exactly what I'm doing. You have to see the contact of the ball. Whereas tennis, I see the contact of the ball. It's so easy to see. I just need to be in the right position at the right time to play the ball back in tennis, right? But here, you can be right at the table. It doesn't matter because the ball might hit the table, take off another direction.
So how did you go from that to, like, obviously you've played for the U.S. In lots of different countries. How did you end up playing in North Korea? I know you did that fairly recently.
Yeah. So I came up with this idea that, okay, everybody in the world's been playing since 3. I started at 19.
Do you ever feel like bad about that?
No.
Like regret?
No, I love it. Oh, I mean, in a case, sometimes I say, I wish I would have started the sport younger, but I used to make fun of people playing ping pong. So when I was on the football team, they had it in my high school. And I used to just laugh and abuse these kids all the time. So, yeah, but I mean, sometimes I wish I would have played younger because then I would be much better. Right. And I would have had that junior circuit time, but it's all right. I don't mind.
So North Korea.
Yeah. So I figured out in this sport that I can't beat these top players, right? It's so I have to find another thing within the sport. So I became the entertainer of the sport, right?
And by the way, I think this is, and I'm sorry to interrupt, I think this is an important lesson that you obviously have a huge passion for something. Yeah. You're great, one of the best out there, but it's not like there's only one goal. It's not like you have to be the ping pong world champion.
Right.
You've ended up doing a documentary on ping pong, hip hop songs on ping pong. Right. You started what's an incredible, maybe the best in the world now, club for ping pong that's expanding all over the country. You do so many things relating to ping pong, and like you say, you've traveled all around the world representing the U.S. for ping pong. So I think this is an important lesson for anybody interested in anything, is to look at all the possibilities. There's not just one goal or else you're unhappy. Like there's lots of ways to be happy doing the thing you love, as opposed to being, having only one goal to be happy.
Right. Oh, and one thing about the documentary, I'm not the creator. We got to give props to the director.
Okay.
John Bunning, amazing director. But about North Korea. So I figured out, you know what? I'm a black dude. I'm a black hip hop dude I'm like the Dennis Rodman of ping pong, right? And those players might be better than me, but they're not cooler than me. I'm probably the coolest ping pong player in the world. So I figured that out because
very humble.
Well, I tell you why I figured that out, because all the top players in the world will always come to me, yo, Wally, what's up? Because they see my videos on YouTube. So they're like, yo, what's up? So even like the Chinese don't talk to nobody. When they see me, they go, hey, Wally. Even they can't even speak English. They give me that little nod and a smile. So then I was like, oh, you know what? All right, I got to change this around. I'm not trying to win anymore. I'm just trying to set a trend in making this sport cool. So I'm going to do everything that it takes to make this sport cool. If I play a match, I'm going to do funny stuff. I'm going to be funny. I'm going to try to make great shots, even if it's just one amazing shot, do stuff like that. So every year I try to do something really big. And I saw there was a tournament, a world tournament on the ITTF website, which is the International Table Tennis Federation. It's the body which governs table tennis around the world. And it was a North Korean pro tour, right? And I was like, wow, it's a North Korean pro tour. And I read about Dennis Rodman going to North Korea. And I was like, oh my God, I got to go to North Korea. I was like, there's no way I don't go. I was like, I have to go to this tournament. I have to. And so I researched it a little bit, and I watched all the documentaries about North Korea. That's when I got interested in North Korea. I watched all documentaries. And they were, of course, all bad. They're all terrible. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go to North Korea. So I called the U.S. team and I said, hey, can you guys sign me up? And they were like, what? I was like, yeah, I want to go to North Korea. And they were like, we don't think that's a good idea. And I was like, I'm not asking. I'm telling you that I want to go to North Korea. And everybody told me, everybody was like, don't go to North Korea. Don't go to North Korea. It's not safe. It's not safe. It's so dangerous. I said, I don't care if it's dangerous. I grew up in the projects. I'm not afraid to go to North Korea. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They capture me and torture me? I'm like, I'm not worried about that. And I believe, like, no matter where you go, if you're smart, you pay attention to your surroundings, you don't get into trouble. You don't get caught up in stuff unless you're doing something you're not supposed to or you're not paying attention.
You're like this kid who just died. He was caught. He was in prison for a year, but he was like messing with their flag or the picture.
Listen. One thing about that, and I was just talking about this too. I feel bad he died, but first of all, any country you go to, it doesn't even matter if it's not North Korea. You need to research the rules and the regulations of that country. If you're a Westerner, you're being recorded 24/7. Nowhere you go, there's not a camera. There might be even maybe a tap in your room. You don't know that. But you're being recorded everywhere you go. So to go and try to steal something on the basis that you want to get into a fraternity, that's kind of stupid. Yeah, so
it's not like he deserved what he had, but he just wasn't being smart about his surroundings and circumstances and so on. It's hard to put it because you don't want to say he was asking for it because obviously he wasn't, but he was definitely taking the risk that something bad was going to happen.
He didn't really understand how serious the North Korean culture is.
Do you think the U.S., I mean, this is not even like really a topic I usually talk about, but you think the U.S. should take any kind of reaction?
They really can't do anything, man. I mean, the laws of a country, it's like if someone comes to our country from another country and they violate the laws, they will be prosecuted here. It's the same thing with every other country. Every country has their level of what their law is. You can't say it's wrong. You can't say it's right. It's their level of what their law is. And if you violate it, you have to be prepared. I mean, I've experienced this in Japan. I got arrested I was held for 3 months.
You were what? You were held for 3? You didn't tell me this. You were held for 3 months in Japan?
Yeah, man.
What happened?
0.76 grams of weed.
And that's 3 months.
Which is not even enough to roll a half a joint. I was with some friends of mine who were rappers, and we were hanging out, having a scythe, some freestyle, and cops came. Most of them ran away, and I wouldn't tell the cops who they were. And I was held for 3 months. And I never knew that weed was so serious in Japan. I never knew that. Nobody never told me this. And ever since then, I research every country before I go to.
So wait, being held in jail in Japan, was that
3 months.
Do they have like crappy jails, or what are their jails like?
Well, like for me, it was bad. My situation was kind of equal to what they would say solitary confinement. And it's so funny because like recently I've been watching a lot of like the baddest jails in the world or whatever. And so solitary confinement is you being in a cell by yourself 23 hours a day. And that was me for 3 months in Japan. Yeah.
And so mentally, how do you get through that?
In the beginning, it was really tough, but I wrote a lot. So I wrote a diary of every day because Japanese system is very, very, very intense. It is, you get interrogated every day because they want to get more information out of you. Then they send you to a prosecutor. They can hold you 24 days without conviction. Takes 1 month to get trial date. And then the craziest thing, the hardest time being arrested there, the hardest time comes when you go to court. It's a trial. It's a real trial. It's like, like you're John Gotti, and it's crazy. So you go to court, they give you your sentence first. So they tell you you're going to get 3 years. Then you have to go back to the cell and you stay there for a month to get a decision. Then you go back for the actual decision. So they give you sentence first, then you wait 30 days, go back and get a decision. You know what that's like? So they're telling you you're getting 3 years. You may not get it or you may get it, but now you got to sit 30 more days knowing the sentence that you're getting. So that's like super intense. It's so stressful. It's like you can't believe it. But I'm pretty strong. Like I said, I grew up in the projects. I think if it was anybody else, like they would have definitely like flipped out. But
And so you went back after 30 days.
Well, I went back after 30 days, and I put on a good act though. Like I forced cry. So I think I should have got like an Emmy award or something for that. I put on the best. You should see. I was crying. I was like, I won't do it again. I couldn't speak. It was so funny. It was, and the judge. You also have to write a letter. It's called a reflection letter. It's so stupid. You have to write a reflection letter, and you have to say what you did, why you did it, why you won't do it again. Right now, as Americans, we don't want to never put blame on ourselves. We never want to say, oh, I did that because I was bad. No, we say, well, I smoked that weed because, I just wanted to hang out. We were hanging out, right? And so they said, what did you do? Well, I had 0.76 grams of weed on my possession. Why did you have it? Because me and my friends were just hanging out. Why you won't do it again? Because I don't get trouble. That's the wrong answer. The correct answer is, what did you have? I had 0.76 grams of marijuana. Why did you have it? Now listen to this. I had it because my will was weak to do the right thing. And that's what you had to write. Like, it's the dumbest. I don't even talk like that. But I had to write that. Like, it's so serious. So I had to write, you have to make yourself look bad in order for the judge to feel like you're sorry. Yeah, so I mean, it was really hard. And then when you're in court, you have to look at the judge all the time. They tell you, you must look straight at the judge. Like, it was intense. But I got lucky, and my lawyer was like, you're going to get deported. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get deported. This is going to be crazy. I'm going to kick off U.S. team. Everybody's going to know. And I didn't get deported. I got really lucky. They just gave me what they call shikoyu-yo in Japanese. It's like 3-year probation, which is pretty much meaningless because I don't live in Japan. But now if I want to go to Japan, I have to make a visa to go there.
Let's stop to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Are you hiring? Wait. Don't answer yet. Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? Finding great talent can be tough. I know this because I've managed probably about 30 companies. Thankfully, with ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites with just one click. Then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job better than any other site. Believe me, I know this. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, I can't believe this, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. Boy, ZipRecruiter, you're such a great sponsor. That's right. You're allowing my listeners to post jobs for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/James. That's ZipRecruiter.com/James. One more time, to try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/James.
You know, if you could take a vacation to anywhere in the world, where would you go? I don't know if you remember my podcast with Derek Sivers, but he's a good friend. He lives in New Zealand. Maybe I'd like to go there someday. But whether you want to climb the ancient ruins of Machu Picchu in Peru or walk amongst the intricate architecture and enchanting cherry blossoms of Tokyo, Japan, Princess Cruise Lines can turn your dream into reality. As a matter of fact, voted best itineraries, Princess Cruises sails to over 360 destinations worldwide. And there's never been a better time to plan a vacation with Princess Cruises than during their most popular sale of the year, Sip and Sail. Book a balcony or above and get the best all-inclusive beverage package at sea for free. Enjoy everything from cocktails, wine, and beer to sodas, specialty coffee, and smoothies as you explore world-famous destinations. Just visit princess.com/James for details. That's princess.com/James. Look, it's no secret. The world is still completely changing, and your life is going to change with it. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just that you could no longer rely on conventional institutions like the government, Wall Street companies, corporations, schools, whatever institutions you used to rely on for your income and for your financial security of yourself and your family. Sometimes you can't even rely on your friends or family. So you absolutely need to reinvent the way you interact with the world. People ask me all the time, how do I reinvent myself if I'm starting with no money? And I can tell you almost every single time I have ever had to reinvent, I started with nothing. That's why I want to send you, absolutely free of charge, one of the most important books I've ever written. A book I believe could really help you if you're in a rut, if you're stuck behind the cubicle, if you want to do your passion or what you love in life, even if you have $0 in your bank account, even if nobody else is giving you an opportunity, this is the book I think could help. It's called Reinvent Yourself, and it's the book I wish I could have read 20 years ago, even 5 years ago. A book like this would have changed my life, but it didn't exist. So I had to sit down and I wrote it myself. And today I want to give you a copy. Sure, you can go to Amazon right now and get the paperback for a good price, but I want you to have a limited edition hardcover version on me. All you need to do is go to your computer and type www.jamesfreebooks.com. There, I'll explain everything and give you access to a free hardcover version of my book. Again, the site is www.jamesfreebooks.com. That's www.jamesfreebooks.com. Do it today because I know there's only a limited supply, but do it today while I still have some available. Thanks.
So after this experience, even after that, you still were willing to go to North Korea.
Yeah, I really wanted to go.
1,000 times worse.
Yes. But the reason I wanted to go to North Korea, so I researched I saw every documentary there is about North Korea. And then I thought, I want to be a part of living history. Like, it's how many people can say that they're living history? No, it's very difficult. So I want to be part of living history. So in 1972 is a big historical moment for America. It's called the China diplomacy, where America established relations with China. So I wanted to do the same thing, and I wanted to establish my own relation and make my own historical moment.
And just to be clear, on 1972, the way they established that diplomacy was they sent the ping pong team
Yeah,
over.
it was ping pong diplomacy right through ping pong. So I wanted to do the same thing. So I forced them to sign me up, and I went to North Korea, and it
Were
was
the North Koreans good?
Oh yeah, North Koreans are as good as Chinese, but the problem is you don't see them often because they're not allowed to play a lot of they don't play in any Western tournaments except if it's World Championships. So North Koreans play Olympics, World Championships, and China Open. And the reason they play China Open is because they have this connection with China. So if anybody tries to stay there, they're gonna get sent back.
Right.
Right, but they'll never play like U.S. Open or German Open. No, you never seen I have never seen North Koreans in that tournament.
So did you play North Koreans while you were there?
Yeah, so I got the pleasure of actually when I first got there, because I was the only Westerner in this competition. There was no Westerners. Like when I saw the sign-up sheet, I looked. There were like 3 countries. I was the only Westerner, and then I was getting a little nervous because I thought some Westerners would be there, but there were none, 0. So when I got there, I needed to warm up. I have nobody to warm up with. So they took me to where the North Korean team guys were. And they all looked at me when I walked in. They were probably saying, what the F? It was, really. And one of them were forced to practice with me. And it was pretty cool. You know, I took a picture with them, you know, we practiced. And then I got to play a North Korean. I played 2 Chinese and 1 North Korean. And when I played the North Korean guy, it was really crazy because they had the fans, 2,500 people in an arena, and all the fans are North Korean. There's nobody rooting for you. It's just North Korean. And so, you know, we start to play, and I'm feeling good. You know, I'm like, yeah, you know, my hair's looking good. I'm ready, you know, and I'm the only Westerner here, so I got to step up my game. So I start playing this guy, and I take the lead quickly. Like, it was crazy. I was putting a beating on him, but probably because he was nervous about maybe 2 things. I mean, one thing, if he lost to me, it's not going to be good for him. Yeah, so he was probably super nervous. Anyway, I'm taking the lead, and I noticed every time I won a point, the sound was like this. Like, it was weird, man. It was like surreal. Like, every time I won a point, it was like, right? And I was like, and that was just weird. So then he won his first point. I think I was up 4-0. He won his first point, and then he went, hey! Wow. And I looked, and I was like, oh, my God. All right, this is weird. Then he won the next point, and he went louder. Hey! And then every time he made a point, people started clapping like crazy. So then I started becoming really uncomfortable because I couldn't concentrate. It was just so loud. And I said, okay, I'm not trying to win this anymore. Because I was filming. Actually. And I said, you know what?
They let you film?
Yeah. You can. I have a lot of footage from North Korea.
Why did they let you film? I would think that would be something that would be...
Well, you can film anywhere they bring you. I mean, you can't walk in with a big old camera. I mean, I'm filming from my iPhone.
Right.
And so then I thought about, okay, I'm filming. I'm going to make this more fun. I'm going to see where I can take this because I'm not going to win this match. It's not happening. I can't concentrate. And it's too funny. So then I said, okay, in my mind, I'm going to try to engage the crowd and see, because it's 2,500 people. They're all looking at me because I'm the only black. Forget about being the only black guy. I'm the only Westerner, but I am a black dude. The only black dude they've ever seen is Dennis Rodman. And we have the same hair. So in their mind, they probably thought, wow, Dennis Rodman plays ping pong too? I'm sure that's what they were thinking. So anyway, we start playing again, right? And they started going louder. And so I look up at the crowd, right? And I just start smiling because it's so funny. I just start smiling. And then the whole crowd, it was like a chain reaction. I started smiling. They started laughing. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So then we start playing again. And then I look up again, so I smile. They started laughing again. So every time I smiled, they started laughing. And it was like a kind of happy thing, right? So for me, it was like I wanted to try to get the real expression, the real feeling from real North Korea, because you're never going to meet real North Koreans. You'll never be around them. It's very difficult. So I wanted to get a real feeling. Like that you can't fake, right? There's nothing in the manual that says if that black guy smiles, you have to laugh, right? That's something that's genuine. So that's what I wanted to get. Then So the guy won the match, of course. And then after the match, you have to shake hands, right? And we're walking towards each other. You can tell this guy is like, I don't know if he's scared or nervous. I don't know what's wrong with him, but his face was looking, it was definitely looking a little strange. So he comes to shake my hand. And when you shake your hand, you put your hand out, like a man. And he comes and he's like, barely touches my hand. So I said, okay, I got this guy. So I grabbed him by his arm, pulled him in and gave him a huge hug. And I held him. So my camera's facing that way. And his face goes like scared, like shocked, because he's definitely never been hugged by a black guy. Probably never been hugged by a Westerner, period. So the guy's face is shocked, and then he goes into a smile. And that was the other expression I wanted to get, right? He's smiling. That you can't make up, right? Now, I don't know if something happened.
What was the crowd doing?
The crowd was cheering. Like they were cheering because, it was, here you have this American guy, both governments hate each other. And here, me and this North Korean guy were bonding over ping pong. And it was so cool, man. People, everybody was just happy. And that was what I wanted. And that was the main reason why I went to North Korea. That was the main reason.
You said something earlier too, like you like to do one big thing
Every
year.
Yeah.
And so it's like, there's a couple of things. One is, you've mentioned before you're into hip hop, and I've seen you've made songs and you've done other things. It's like you've combined these two interests to become essentially the best in the world at the intersection.
Right.
And then you've used that to create these other great experiences for yourself, like going to North Korea or representing the U.S. all over the place, or starting the club Spin. How did Spin come around? Because that was clearly your big thing one of these years.
Right. So we used to have a party, and even before that, there were three guys. They were filmmakers. They were documentary filmmakers, and they loved ping pong. Right, they had this loft apartment in Tribeca with one ping pong table. It was the first furniture they ever got. They came to a tournament, right, where I was playing at, and they were playing this tournament, and I was having an issue with a particular player's coach who was just being really annoying. And even though, I've changed my life, but the gangster never leaves out of you. It's always there. You just have to control it. So anyway, this guy's just being really obnoxious. And then I said something to this effect. I was like, if you don't shut the F up, I'm going to punch you in the face for 10 minutes. Yeah. And then those guys heard it. And it was like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. Who is this guy? So they came up to me and it was like, yeah, we're filmmakers, blah, blah, blah. We have this loft in Tribeca. You should come hang out with us. And I was like, all right, cool. So I went, hung out with them. They had a huge loft, ping pong table, and I would play with them. And we became friends, and I wound up staying there. So that was like my home.
Loft.
Yeah, I had keys and everything. I was always there. And we came with the idea, let's have a party. So we would invite friends over just to play ping pong. They would come hang out with us, and we'd play ping pong in this loft. And friends, bring beer, bring whatever you want, and let's just party. The party got really big, and eventually we came up with a website called Naked Ping Pong, right? Because naked was the state of mind of how we were feeling, just feeling free, enjoying life. And we got a write-up in a magazine, in a hipster magazine, and it brought so much attention to our website. Then we got sponsors. So Red Bull sponsored us. We got various vodka companies, beer companies.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, well, we can't give you money, but we can give you all the free product you want. Now, it's illegal to sell alcohol out of your apartment. So we said, you know what? Let's make everybody RSVP for a tournament, right? We charge $20 to get in for the tournament, but alcohol is free because you can give alcohol away. So we did that for a while, and it got really, really big to where we started hosting NBA halftime shows. We did, years ago, the actual Super Bowl party when it was in Phoenix, Arizona with 50 Cent and Vitamin Energy. So everybody wants to bring our party somewhere. And then in the midst of that,
so you created this do-it-yourself ping pong club.
Ping pong club, yeah, in an apartment. And then in the midst of that, we met Susan Sarandon, right? Because Susan Sarandon had came by to our party. at one point, she wanted the guys to edit. The original reason she came is one of the guys' assistant is her assistant. I mean, one of the guy's friends is her assistant. So she came by to have this video edited for Tim Robbins real quick, and that's how we met her. Because I remember the first time I saw her, I was like, you look really familiar. And I didn't realize it was Susan Sarandon. Huh. Yeah, so then eventually we had to get out the apartment. All good things come to an end, which starts new beginnings. And then we came up with a business plan and gave it to Susan. And Susan loved the idea. She loves ping pong. And then she helped us start this Spin that we have in New York. And that's how Spin started.
And now how many locations does Spin have?
We have 5 ones that are currently open now and 2 more that will be by September. Yeah, so we have New York, Toronto, LA, Chicago, San Francisco, and Austin, Texas is just about here. And Philadelphia is going to be next. Yeah, so about 7 soon.
And so this is like your business. This is like your main thing, doing Spin?
Well, I mean, I don't have to do much.
Right.
I'm a founder, so I don't have to do much. Like, we have managers, like an amazing managerial staff and CEOs or whatever you want to call them. We've had a lot of new people come into Spin since we've started, and they sort of kind of took over and changed it a little bit and made it better. Yeah,
So at the beginning of this, I mentioned how, I've been playing for 40 years, but because I never really took lessons, even though I was playing with my friends all the time and we were always competing against each other and trying to beat each other, it wasn't enough. Like, I never really learned.
Right.
It's kind of like with something that's with anything in life that's hard. You can't just learn on your own, really. You need somebody to tell you when you're doing something that's wrong. Like, do you think does anyone just start off with all the good habits? Like, I remember you've showed me so many things with like, the hand has to go, go down and the wrist
angles,
goes back and then angle
yeah.
this way. I have to remember all these things. It's very hard. And you have to go up instead of around. And it seems like you always need like a teacher and then people to play. It's again, after 40 years, why did I have so many bad habits? Why did I never get better?
Okay, so this answers your question from before. And what I said before, why is table tennis one of the hardest sports in the world? Think about it. If you took a basketball, right, and you went to the basketball court every day from 3 years old and you shot baskets, you will be way better than the average person.
Right.
If you took a tennis racket, you went to the tennis court and you played tennis every day for 10 years, even 2 years, 3 years, you will be better than the average person. This is one of the only sports where that doesn't work.
It's true because probably realistically from the ages of 9 to 18, when I was still growing up in my house, I probably played ping pong every day.
Right.
And I probably even got better, but I didn't get good.
Right, exactly. So this is pretty much the only sport where first of all, everybody thinks they're good. Everybody thinks they're good at ping pong. Everybody. And it's the only sport, right? Because in basketball, if you shoot the ball and it doesn't go in a hoop, you're bad, right? It's that simple.
Right.
But in ping pong, you can look good and be really bad, right? So, and the reason why this sport is so difficult because there's so many things that you have to learn, and even pros are still learning. There's so many different things: the angle of the racket, how you make your wrist, keep your elbow down, the footwork. If the footwork is wrong, the stroke is wrong, right? Spins and all this stuff, and that's why people can play 40 years, 50 years every day. They can play ping pong every day, and I'll still go beat them with my cell phone. And that's why, because in this sport, it's about technique. You need technique because the sport is one of the fastest sports in the world, right? So with that in mind, you have 1/10 of a second to decide what you want to do. It's like chess. I have to figure out from my shot what you're going to do. And I have to have options in my head. Okay, I'm going to serve. He's going to possibly play here, here, or here. If he plays here, I got to play there. But if I play there, he might play here, so I have to play there. So this is what's going on in your head quickly as you're thinking. That's why this sport is so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you were showing me one time where, I always tried to kill it on the serve, like hit it really fast. And you were like, no, just try this. And then you made like the softest serve possible where I had to like stretch in to return
Right.
it. And then and then it pops up, and then you're able to slam it back.
Right.
So it's like you're thinking like a few moves ahead, like chess, like you just said.
Yes.
So, and it seems like there's all these scenarios that are possible, particularly on the serve and the returns and so on.
Right. So that's where the training comes from. When you're doing serious training, you have to try to train all these scenarios that can possibly happen, because you don't have time to think like, oh, if he goes there, no, it has to be quick. Has to be natural. So we have drills that we do that recreate scenarios of a match. So for example, I get a bucket of balls, right? And I'll serve one to you underspin, and then put maybe one wide forehand, one middle forehand, maybe backhand, and make you move so that it's natural to your body, so that once you see it, you can react quickly.
Like, do you think with any sport or endeavor, like how important is the role of finding that teacher early on to avoid the bad habits?
In this sport, more than any other sport. Because in this sport, the bad habits are so minor, right? You know, it's just so minor. Like, for example, when you're first hitting, right, if your racket's open, a little bit open, if I tell you just close it just a little bit, that's a huge difference.
Right.
It's a huge difference. So those things you can never learn by yourself. It's so difficult to learn these, but these little things are so difficult to learn by yourself. But like I said, because the goals are different. Like I said, if you're at a basketball court, the main goal is getting that ball in the hole.
I feel like with every sport, there's been movies, sitcoms, documentaries, like, you know, baseball, basketball, tennis. There's like a ton of content out there.
Right.
Nobody's made like a ping pong, like the subculture of ping pong kind of sitcom or documentary or movie. You did a little you did a lot with your documentary called The Tables, about the tables that you put out in Bryant Park, which is right in the middle of New York City, and the subculture that's developed around that. It's small. It's making the film festivals.
Yeah.
Like, what has it won any awards?
Yeah, it's won so far. We have 4 awards. 3 are Audience Choice Awards for Best Short Documentary, and then the other one is an actual award which comes from the panel of another film festival. And then I'm sure this last one, from the feedback that I'm getting, which I'm going to check today later on, that I'm sure if we didn't win an award in this film festival, I don't know. But I think we definitely won another award, I hope.
How can people see it? Like, are you ever going to put it on YouTube?
It will be after the film festival season is finished. Then we'll start, doing more screenings in New York, and then we'll put it online.
Why doesn't someone pitch like a movie or a sitcom about like the subculture of ping pong? Because it's like a whole subculture down there at Spin, for instance.
Yeah. So, and this is the reason why our documentary is doing so well. The documentary cannot be about the sport. The reason why is because ping pong is not a big sport in America. Nobody really know about it. So it can't be about the sport. It has to be about some type of human connection, and the sport being as a side thing. And that's why our documentary is doing so well. If our documentary was about ping pong only and the sport, it would never do well. But because it's about the connection and how this sport brings together the most amazing people, and the characters are so different, from your multi-billion-dollar business guy to your homeless guy that play together every day. And that's what makes the story. So they would have to find a way to make a movie that has human connection and not just the sport.
Right.
But there is one successful ping pong. There's one very successful ping pong movie, actually, and it's really cool. And it's called Ping Pong, and it's from Japan. So there's a movie called...
I don't know it.
Yeah, it's a movie called Ping Pong that comes from Japan. And it's a really cool movie because they made it like a comedy, but then it's serious at the same time. But it doesn't make the sport... See, and there's another problem, too. So a lot of people, when they do a movie about ping pong, they make it into a type of comedy that's not cool. So that's a huge problem. Like Balls of Fury did it. Another movie, I can't remember, did it, right? So they have to find a way to make it. It can be funny, but still let people understand it's a real sport and you have to train and it's serious, right? So this particular movie from Japan called Pong does it perfectly. It's funny, but then you can see, wow, man, those guys are serious.
So what's next for you? Like, what's your next big thing?
So my next big thing is, now that I got all this motivation from being at all these film festivals. I mean, it's the first time in my life that I've been to. I mean, I went to one with Susan, and I went to San Diego one time just to do some event, but I've never been to so many film festivals in the period of 2 months. So now I have so much motivation to finish my own documentary. So I'm doing my own documentary called My North Korean Ping Pong Diplomacy. And it's about my trip in North Korea, and it's going to be the first document. So I like to do things also that I want to be the first at, right? I'm the first person to make the world's first hip-hop song about table tennis, over 100,000 views. I'm the first person.
What's the name of it? How can people find it?
It's called, I forgot the name of the song. What's the name of the song? It's called,
well, if they YouTube Wally
I forgot
Green,
my song's name. That's crazy.
if they go to your channel, Wally Green.
Yeah, it's Wally Green. You'll find it. Yeah. So, it's called A Game Nobody Knows. Yeah, so the world's first hip-hop song. I'm the first person in the world to play ping pong with an iPhone. I do all first things.
The front of the...
No, the back of the phone.
The back, okay. You don't want to crack the screen.
Yeah. So I like to do a lot of, first things. So my documentary is going to be the first documentary about North Korea that's not bad. Like all the documentaries are just, they're just bad.
When you were there, like, were they following you around the whole time? Like, did you have handlers that were always with you?
So you have a guide, and your guide, that person is responsible for bringing you everywhere. So you can't just leave. It's not like you wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to go across the street to the park. Nah, you don't leave that hotel ever, unless the guy comes and gets you and takes you. So, for example, I was supposed to be there for a week. In the fourth day, I was like, listen, we need to really go to the park or do. Can we go outside? That's what I said. In my mind, I was thinking outside there's a beautiful park across the street. And I thought, oh man, I want to go out. And the guy goes, yeah, okay, we'll go out tomorrow. So I'm very happy. Oh man, I'm going to get to go to the park, walk around. You know where we went? We went right outside in front of the hotel. And that was
like
outside.
On the sidewalk?
It wasn't even like on a sidewalk. It's where the cars pull in. Huh. And I said, hey, can we go to the park? I said, oh, no, can't. What? And then I decided I wanted to leave the next day. I was like, I got to get out of here, man. Because there's nothing for me to do, You don't have Wi-Fi. And you know what? And I spoke to them about that. I had a lot of conversation with the organizers and stuff like that. And, and they explained me their views, okay, I understand you don't want Western influence in your culture. I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to keep the pure Korean culture. That's very understandable. But if you want people to come here, you got to give them Wi-Fi. That's what I told her. I said, listen, nobody wants to go to a place where they're cut off from the rest of the world. So, because the organizer was like, yeah, we wish we can get more Westerners to come to this competition. And I said, well, you got to give them Wi-Fi. People have family, they have wives. When you go somewhere, you need to tell your family or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, yo, I'm safe. You can't just disappear for a week. Yeah. It's not normal. So I told us, like, you guys need to make, if you guys want more people to come here, you guys need to get at least Wi-Fi. It's so important for people to be connected to their family or whatever. And I remember when I got there and I was like, yo, I need to send an email. I got to tell my wife, like, I'm safe. And they were looking at me and said, no. I said, you don't understand. Like, I really need to send an email. Like now. Because sometimes I get really intense. Like, no, I got to send. This is like, because I didn't know that you can't send any emails out. So I'm telling my wife, yeah, don't worry. When I get there, I'm going to email you. Wrong. Nothing. And I said, listen, you guys got to make it happen. Like, I need to tell her that I'm here. And then what they did was they took me in a room. They took me in a room and they stood behind me and watched me send my email.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
It's so controlled.
Yeah. They wanna, they want to make sure that you're not trying to do any dumb shit.
Well,
Excuse my French.
I'll tell you my takeaway from all this. It's been such a pleasure kind of getting good at something that I've loved all my life, but I didn't realize how bad I was until I met you. And it's such a pleasure being on the bottom of that learning curve and feeling, all the things to learn, and it just excites my brain. Like, I think that's something people should always do with things that they're passionate about, is they should try to get good at them. But the other thing is, I think a lot of times people feel, oh, I'm too old for something. Like you say, when you're 19, how old are you now?
Me, 35.
So you said when you were 19, oh, it's too bad I didn't start when I was 3, or many of these champions started at 3. But I think a lot of people, even when they're 50, might say, oh, it's too bad I didn't start a business at 20 or write a book or do this or that. But I think at any age you could start something. You might not be the best in the world, but you can combine all these things you love and still make something an adventure. Like, you've now been involved in hip hop as it relates to ping pong, starting a whole business related to ping pong, like maybe the first of its kind, doing these documentaries, traveling to all these countries. You've made a whole life around ping pong without having to be number one in the world, but still being, pursuing all these different things that you love, whether it was like video or music or business ownership or athletics. It's kind of the combination of things and figuring out all the things relating to your interest that anybody can do at any age, really. There's no barriers then.
Right.
Like, all the artificial barriers go away. All the excuses go away because, oh, no, but if I combine writing with this other experience I've had, now I can do it. Or if I combine business with these other experiences I've had, then I can do it. And that's kind of inspirational for me, too, as I'm always trying to reinvent. But most importantly, I want to get really great at ping pong. So, when's our next lesson? It's like Wednesday?
Wednesday, I think.
All right,
Wednesday.
I got to work on my serve now.
It's getting better.
What's the worst thing you saw in my play when we first started playing?
The worst thing?
Yeah.
Was the technique.
Yeah, like which part?
Like, your elbow kept popping up all the time.
Yeah, because my elbow was like behind
your back, and it kept popping up. But it's normal for people who've never played, in the right way.
I think also the holding the racket at the kind of downward angle all the time.
Yeah, because it was always
closing the racket, and I tend to be more open with it, like
right. And then you're straight.
Vertical.
But now it's getting better though.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Like, there was a few shots that were like really good.
Well, Bruce Lee has that saying, I'm not afraid of the man who knows 10,000 kicks. I'm afraid of the man who's done one kick 10,000 times.
10,000 times, yes.
So, and you always hit like that one shot, like just to get that one consistency of shot, like over and over again. And I notice that's how a lot of the lessons around spin seem to happen.
Yeah. It's all about repetition. Like, you have to do it 1,000 times. Like, people think you just try to hit the ball harder. No, and that's why I say hit it softly. Hit it softly. If you can do it 1,000 times softly, then you can get onto a little bit harder. But it's all about repetition.
Well, Wally Green, people can find you on YouTube. They can see you hanging out at Spin in any of these cities. What else? The documentary, The Tables, eventually they should look for it, or they should look for the documentary about your North Korean ping pong diplomacy. And thanks for coming on the James Altucher Show.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
And I just want to say once again, also, Spin is like a great place. I've been going there for, I want to say, at least 4 years. When did we open up?
We opened 6.5 years ago.
Yeah, so I've been going probably more. I remember
really?
one time.
That's crazy.
Oh, I'll tell you one story. One time I took my daughter there. I guess she was around 11 or 12, and it was at night, and there was a party there that Bank of America had rented out the place, and we kind of snuck in and just picked up some rackets and started playing.
Oh, that's cool.
And because all the Bank of America guys were just drinking, they weren't even playing.
Yeah.
And eventually the waitress came over and said, look, you really can't stay here and play. And I offered to pay, but they're like, nah, don't worry about it. And because all the Bank of America guys, they had just been bailed out by the government. They were just partying. They didn't even care about ping pong. And my daughter really loves it. So then I wrote about this, how we did that, how we snuck in and we were polite about it and we offered to pay. Somebody actually wrote an article trashing me, saying I was taking advantage of, she actually accused me of having white privilege, that if I had been black, I never would have been allowed to do that. Like,
really?
Yeah, someone really tried to trash me.
So ridiculous.
It was totally ridiculous because the Bank of America guys weren't even using the tables. It was my daughter's birthday.
Exactly. I'm with my daughter. Hello.
Yeah, maybe I was using like little red-haired girl privilege, but we've loved Spin the whole time. It's such a great place, and I love the music there, and you can get lessons there. There's all the pros, everything. So thanks once again, Wally, for the lessons and for coming on the podcast.
All right, thank you. You're welcome.
For more from James, check out The James Altucher Show on the Choose Yourself Network at jamesaltucher.com and get yourself on the free Insiders list today.
Hey, thanks for listening. Listen, I have a big favor to ask you, and it will only take 30 seconds or less, and it would mean a huge amount to me. If you like this podcast, please let me know. Please let the team I work with know. Please let my guests know, and you can do this easily by subscribing to the podcast. Probably the biggest favor you could do for me right now, and it's really simple. Just go to iTunes, search for The James Altucher Show, and click subscribe. Again, it will only take you 30 seconds or less, and if you subscribe now, it will really help me out a lot. Thanks again.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power, so how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/advance. That's oracle.com/advance. oracle.com/advance.